Hi, my name is Dr. Leo Trezon, and I'm a gastroenterologist, and I want to describe to you the wireless pill camera endoscopy. There are several different types of pill camera endoscopies. Some are used to evaluate the esophagus, and some are used to evaluate the small bowel. For purposes of this discussion, we'll talk about the small bowel. In the future, we'll also have a colon capsule that might be available that could detect conditions of the colon. But this is really a discussion about the small bowel camera. And what it involves is swallowing a pill camera that takes 2 pictures per second for 8 hours. And the way that the camera takes pictures is through a tiny little lens that's on the inside of the camera. And as it goes down, it takes these pictures continuously, and it transmits the images from the pill camera, which is 11 millimeters by 26 millimeters, and it sends it wirelessly to a belt that you wear around your waist or around your shoulders that day, sort of like a man purse. And the 2 pictures per second for 8 hours is around 57,000 pictures, and all of those are sent to this belt recorder that captures and stores the images. And then after the pill camera finishes its 8 hours of pictures, it no longer takes anything, and then you just pass it in your stool, and you don't need to retrieve the camera. It just goes right down the toilet. And all the data is collected on the data recorder, which is connected to a computer and is downloaded. And then I review all 57,000 pictures to look for abnormalities of interest. We typically do this test in order to detect abnormalities of the small bowel. That includes things like celiac disease, malabsorption, polyps, Crohn's disease, which is ulcers of the small bowel. Sometimes we find things like vascular ectasias, which are small flat blood vessels that can cause bleeding. And sometimes we find tumors and other things like that. So there's, in general, a limited scope of indications for this procedure, and usually what we do is an upper endoscopy and a colonoscopy before we ever do the pill camera endoscopy, because one of the limitations of pill cam is that it cannot take biopsies, which are often really important. But there is a very good indication for pill camera, and in my experience, the most common reasons are iron deficiency anemia of suspected small bowel origin, or gastrointestinal bleeding of suspected small bowel origin, and occasionally to inspect for abdominal pain and diarrhea in people that might have Crohn's disease or malabsorption conditions of the bowel, such as lymphoma or eosinophilic enteritis. So you could ask your doctor about why we do it, or you could ask me about why we do it, but those are usually the reasons. And typically, the procedure is really safe, and it's in general very rare that people get injured by doing the small pill camera. But the possible risks include that the capsule gets stuck, and if it does, and it doesn't pass over the course of 1 or 2 weeks, then we might need to go in and rescue it with a different kind of traditional camera where we take out the capsule and we biopsy the abnormality that caused it to get stuck. Sometimes that's useful too. It might be ulcers, or it might be a tumor or a polyp that made it get stuck. It's important before the procedure to be evaluated for the possibility of the capsule getting stuck, and your doctor will make an assessment of that. Typically, people who have that might have symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, difficulty digesting foods, or other things have gotten stuck. And sometimes we even do x-rays before the pill camera to check for the possibility of it getting stuck. And we have a protocol for who needs that and who doesn't need that. So best if you ask us before. You should also know that one of the risks of the procedure is that abnormalities are missed. And what that means is sometimes the capsule goes through you kind of quickly, and it's possible to miss something in the small bowel even as it goes by it, such as a small blood vessel that wasn't bleeding at the time, or even a polyp, for example. The other thing you should know is that this capsule usually passes a day or 2 or 3 after you do the test. And if you have diarrhea, it'll pass faster, but most people pass it the next day or 2 days later. And if you're considering doing an MRI test for other reasons, you should let us know, because you really shouldn't do an MRI until we've made clear that that camera has passed from your body, because the magnet in the MRI and the potential small amounts of metal inside the capsule, they don't like to interact with each other and potentially dangerous. So please ask us about that if you think you're going to get an MRI. And we also like for you to do a clean out before the procedure. And we have different kinds of clean outs depending on the different clinical indication. So we'd like to talk to you about that. In general, you're allowed to eat a breakfast and a lunch on the day before the procedure, and then some fasting is done for the dinner meal and thereafter. We also like to give a laxative clean out on the evening before the procedure and also on the morning of the procedure, but it's not a very strong clean out. It's not designed to make you go to the bathroom and empty your colon. It's designed to clean the small bowel. So sometimes when people drink that prep, they're expecting to go to the bathroom a lot, but they just don't. So you don't need to call us if you haven't gone to the bathroom as a result of drinking the prep. You've probably just cleaned your small bowel, and that's what we want. So we look forward to seeing you for your wireless pill camera endoscopy, and if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.